And you're welcome back to Morning Express. As usual, let's set the ball rolling for discussions on the program this morning. Our studio is being graced by an erstwhile political analyst, political economist, I might add, who is a regular on the program, a friend of the station that comes around to lend his thoughts to pertinent issues in Nigerian news. Well, Dr. Aliyu Ilias is joining us this morning on Morning Express to talk about some of these issues, particularly the tax reform bill. It appears that anytime you are here, the first itinerary on the list is the tax reform bill. but you're welcome, Doctor. It's wonderful to have you.
Thank you so much. It's a burning issue. They need to discuss it.
It's always burning. And now, yesterday, we heard that some southeastern lawmakers were seeking for further consultations with regards to the tax reform bill. And then this morning, shockingly, we saw that 17 southern states reps have now thrown their weight fully behind the tax reform bill, asking for a national for everybody to agree, like a national unity on the tax reform bill, including the northern part of the country. What do you make of this?
Right, I think a tax reform bill, as it were, it's a very good and laudable approach. As it is now, you will recall that for a long time we've not actually tinkered on the tax reform. We are still using some colonial, we are still, I think 1993 there's still some work, but as it is now, it has a lot of benefits. I can tell you, it even outweigh any negative, in terms of individual having buoyancy in the pocket, in terms of corporate or small company that need to scale up. I think it's a good one, but there's a lot of things to it again. We have to start looking at it from different perspectives. My first perspective is that I would suggest that the National Assembly should make sure they jack the 800,000, 1 million naira mark that they will not tax to like 1.5 or 2 million naira. And I will tell you my reasons. Now, you agree with me that most civil servants in the state, even in federal government, we have much more lower cadre than the upper cadre. So mostly lower cadre is like 70%, right? So now, if you do that, and you also say that businesses that are between 50 million naira less will not be taxed. I am afraid that how will the state also make money? That's another issue that we're not looking at, because most of these states, especially states that doesn't have much more, that have not tapped into their natural resources, let me use that language. Now those states are getting money from small businesses and from personal income tax. So you are now saying that about 70% of their staff will not be taxed. They will not get income from there. People that are not scaling, because most businesses that scale are in places like Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and that's what you can see. So most businesses that are not scaling, they are there. That means they will not get a lot of income, and that's part of the grounds of the governors. There's another perspective on it that is going religious now. I don't know if you have get to see that area.
I have seen some sort of religious intonation to it.
Right, and I think it's very critical, and that's why I think the National Assembly, they should start doing their work, because you are expected to defend the culture, the religion of the people you are representing, because that's why you are there. Now let's look at it. It is said that in a particular section that 25% of every inheritance, before it is shared to the beneficiary or the benefactor, we say now, the beneficiary, it has to, the government will remove 25%. And that's quite challenging. How is it challenging? Is that in Islamic principles, it has been stipulated that about 25 different people benefit from tax. I mean, from inheritance already. And it has captured the society, the individual, the family, the extended. Now, it is now coming again in the tax reform that they should remove 25%. So most Islamic organizations or most Islamic people are now saying no, you cannot bring that principle because it negates our own principles.
Our own principles and beliefs.
And believe that there is need to balance it. In fact, it has not been there before, so they want it to withdraw. But my problem is that most people that are condemning or having alternative voice, I am expecting them to bring it in black and white. And submit it that this is our position. We want you to withdraw this. That's the grasp of the North, or that's the grasp of this set of people. This is what we want. Like for me, my own major argument is that please, can you jack up that money from 1 million naira to maybe 1.5, 2 million, and the corporate one should go to like 70 million, because if you look at value of naira too, how much is the business that you can do with 50 million before? It's not the business you can do with 50 million naira now. Yes. So it's a big issue that we need to actually look into.
Vehicles now go to the tune of tens of millions of naira,
and it's courtesy of the import duty and the value of naira.
You mentioned something that has some sort of religious tonality to it.
Yes.
When you said something about the 25%,
yes,
and persons of the Islamic background would not really agree to it. Let's talk about the Sharia law, especially in the northwestern, which is very prominent in the northwestern part of the country,
right?
Which is also the region where most of their lawmakers and governors are kicking hard against the tax reform bills. Yes, we know Sharia law is there. We also know that not every state practices Sharia law. How do we find a balance to ensure that the tax reform bill fits into the states that do practice Sharia law with regards to taxation, and also not negating the states that have no business with Sharia law and are okay with the tax reform?
Right. Though it's quite funny. Is there, apart from the southern states, I don't think there is a state that does not have Muslims. So it go beyond state practicing Sharia law. Someone could be in Lagos.
I mean, virtually every single state of the nation
so
has Muslims.
Someone could be in Lagos, and the father died, and they want to share the inheritance. You're not saying that no, government will remove 25% of the inheritance before they can share. They say no, it has been captured already. So it's go beyond, and that's why I don't want us to sectionalize this issue, because I recall even the issue of governor arguing that time. It was Seyi Makinde that came out and said this is the position of the governors. Yes. We must start looking at it from national issues, whereby we consider people from the east, people from the south, people from the north
to have a common ground.
Exactly, which is very key. So I think that principle of 25% may cause issues truly, because it has said that there's a serious law guiding inheritance already that capture about 25 different persons categories, so if you now still remove 25%,
that's 50%,
and they are going to now be paying double, right? Because by the time each individual get that money and is operating with that money, the money is still going to be taxed one way or
25%.
It may not be 25%. What I'm saying is that if they share
personal income tax,
or even they do use it to do businesses or what have you, so it's going to be taxed again. So why at the beginning? So that's the argument.
On one hand, while this is good for the revenue generation aspect of the nation's, coffers, it also truncates on that multiple taxation issue that many people have been, clamoring against. On one hand, the presidency is saying it's trying to stem down double taxation, but with your analysis now,
that will happen
it
again.
Appears that not just double taxation, but multiple taxation will happen.
Yes, it will happen. So, and that's why I think there is room for consultation now. I think Attorney General is going to, and Attorney General is going to consider Sharia law in some of the things they are going to. Maybe by so doing, they will now see reason why to adjust and really bring it to proper perspective. But it's a good reform in terms of a general. I think Tinubu got this right, but the thing is, he failed in one area, and is in the area of political economy. The interplay between politics and economy, it's a very big issue. In fact, most time politics will have its way and the economy will not have its way, because the president became president because of politics. So he must continue to really do what will make sure he continue to exist as president, and perhaps he want to also become you have the right of refusal.
The SGF recently said that there's no vacancy in there's no vacancy,
which Polybe rightly is, and it's now brought about calculation that in that case, North has even exceeded, the South has exceeded their time about 17 years, North is 11 years. So and that's it, and that's why arguments like this, once you say something, please be careful of people that can listen, can interpret it.
Facts at hand.
Exactly, they will also bring it, and it's quite not good enough for such to be coming from the Secretary of the Federation, because they're supposed to concentrate on governance. We have a lot of issues now, because by the time you start it by yourself, politicking everything, the whole nation will engulf with politicking, and it will deter and reduce the performance governance as expected.
You know, Dr. Aliyu, we have always talked about these tax reform bills every now and then, not just with you, but so many other guests here on the program. And at some point, it appears that it's a bottleneck that isn't really seeing any means of us forging ahead at the National Assembly, with the presidency, or with any of the states that are either for or against it. How long do you think the tax reform bills will continue, the debate will continue to linger, and how much of an impact would it have on our 2025 budget passage?
Right, that's a very instructive one that we must be critical about. Now, I can tell you, the president wants this bill to go in speed,
yes,
which is not ideal. I must tell you this because it's an executive bill, because it's from president, you want it to go. I think such bill need time, and people are actually seeing it that we are pushing us beyond normal. And you will recall, people are also having cautious optimism. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on the first day he became president and removed fuel subsidy.
Yes,
it follows with flotation of naira without due consultation. That's people. So they now think if you now bring tax reform bill and we take it hook, line and sinker, it appears that everything you bring. So let us just make sure.
He could bring the proposition of a third term.
So they try to presidents calm down to an extent, and that's some people's argument. Then in terms of, you see that we are suffering it already. If you look at the budget, I can tell you from my own analysis that the tax reform, the president was expecting, I'm assuming now, that the tax reform would have scaled through. They will now base it on the budget, but now it has have issue now. I don't know how the National Assembly are going to pass the budget now, mixing up the calendar as usual, yes, because now it's some days to end of December. Mm-hmm. I don't know how has the president even present the bill?
The president hasn't.
So I don't know how they are going to do it.
The only thing that has been passed to the National Assembly is the tax reform electronically transmitted.
Yes, so that's the thing. And the MTF and a lot of things, I doubt if because if they will pass it, they will not be able to do critical job as expected for but that means they will just say, okay, check it and they pass it, and that will negate the principle of passing a budget in Nigeria.
Well, Dr. Aliyu, quite brilliant takes you have made there. Another pertinent issue in the news this morning is still stemming from the House of Representatives, where the members of the House of Reps have ordered Nigeria's Apex Bank, the Central Bank of Nigeria, to ensure that they address the current cash crunch situation in the country, with Nigerians still yet again faced with another problematic issue of cash crunch, which is synonymous with the Yuletide season in December. Is the Apex Bank at fault? Are commercial banks at fault? Who is to be held accountable? That is left for us to get the answer from Dr. Aliyu.
Well, the fact is that I tried to withdraw 10,000 naira via POS yesterday. Yeah. And the person told me it's 500 naira.
That is correct.
I tried to defend myself. Oga, collect funds. I said, no, I'm also struggling. I'm buying this cash. That statement was striking. I'm also buying the cash. That simply means there's a failure on the part of the Apex Bank. Perhaps they're intentional doing that, maybe to correct some things in the economy, which it's not a good one. Why is it during Yuletide? You recall that during Emefiele, that's what we suffered.
Yes.
In fact, it was change of currency, a lot of problems.
Change of currency and then cash crunch.
A lot of things.
And almost at the same time, all banks' networks weren't working.
Honestly,
and we're seeing the same thing happening.
So I think it's a very difficult issue. And you are teaching Nigerians what they are not supposed to know. You are not telling us that at every December, we should go and pile up cash. Under in our cupboard.
It might happen in 2020.
It is happening already. Some people who are smart enough have cash kept and they are using it gradually, and that's not still good for the economy. That means your intentional your aim to actually reduce cash from it has been defeated already. So I think we have to change our strategy. You must not continue. And I was discussing before I entered the studio that Nigeria has actually embraced online banking. Unless we want to just reduce what we have tried in terms of online banking. How many person pay school fees with cash? How many person pay cable network with cash.
How many persons eat at restaurants with
cash? So, and I can tell you that USSD is there for us to use for somebody who doesn't. The banking apps are there. ATMs are there. So a lot of we have embraced it. So I think the APS Bank need to look for alternative to actually solve the problem of the economy.
Well, but with the members of the House of Reps asking the CBN to address this cash crunch, I was asking somebody yesterday whether the same question I asked you now, whether it's the Apex Bank that is at fault or the commercial banks. And his response was the commercial banks cannot hoard cash that has been released by the CBN.
Correct.
Now, is the CBN really not releasing cash to these commercial banks?
Well, I don't think, I don't know how correct it is that bank can only deal with 100 million naira in a day. So if
100 million naira
cash or something, so if that is how it is, that means it is Apex Bank doing. Perhaps if commercial bank is trying to do otherwise, Apex Bank should send what we call mystery shoppers to check, an undercover rather, to check if they are abusing the process or they are doing anything funny. Because the commercial bank will always put money in ATM because of the law, but those POS guys are there waiting to actually collect the money.
So they're always hanging around ATM machines.
Is it not normal? It's business, so you must find a way of surviving in business. And that's why I said, with this system, you are teaching Nigerians some things they're not supposed to be, doing. And for me, I think we should hold Apex Bank responsible.
Now there's a caricature drawing on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. We'll take a look at it now, and I want you to just react to it with regards to your POS experience. Let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper once again and take a very close look at the caricature there. If we could have it zoomed in a little bit into the caricature with an ATM to the left, and the caption there is "No network, out of cash," synonymous with our ATMs across the country. And of course, a woman with bag loads of money behind her and a bag just to her right hand side, a queue of people queuing up to take cash from her. She appears to be the only person smiling who because she has the cash, and then the rest of the people are struggling and grappling to try to get little cash off her. Is that the reality we are facing?
That is purely the reality we are facing. There's even some argument that bankers are in conniver with POS people operators and provide them a lot of money that even when and it's profitable now, because if you are giving somebody 10,000 naira and collecting 500 naira, it's quite profitable, and everybody wants to take advantage of that.
And the charges that are being taken off that 10,000 naira is maybe just a little, about 50 naira or so.
Exactly, and they are gaining 450. That's a huge profit. And sometimes some parents say business is legal robbery. Once you are doing it and it's not illegal, continue to do it. So people want to take advantage of lacuna, of a gap in a system, and that is what we're actually seeing now. So I think we need to do. But if you are even complaining in the city center, people in the countryside, what do you think will be happening to them, where they need more cash than people? Because in city center, people easily accept transfer. But in city center, they don't know how and when.
In the city center, you could even board a commercial vehicle
and pay
and then transfer.
That's what
if
they
the
prefer.
Driver is very understanding. Not just Bolt or Uber. But I'm talking about normal along vehicles that you can flag down. Most
of them accept transfers. If you tell them, explain yourself, they say yes, because they also transfer. Transfer is not a big deal anymore with your USSD. Even though you don't have a smartphone, you can actually transfer. So people actually accept it. But in the countryside, you must go with cash. And that means if you are now collecting 500 naira in the city center for 10,000, can you imagine how much somebody in the countryside
will be collecting? Well, let's quickly. We have quite a lot of issues in the news, Dr. Aliyu, and we have about 19-20 minutes to exhaust them. So we will be skipping quite fastly into other stories now. Recently, the president commissioned a technology innovation complex at the Immigration Service headquarters here in Abuja, where he was also praising and lauding the Minister of Interior, Dr. Tunji-Ojo, for how he has placed Nigeria on the global map, and also for ease of visa and passport application in the country that has taken center stage since inception of Dr. Tunji-Ojo as Minister of Interior. How do you react to this, Dr. Aliyu? Is this good news for Nigeria?
Well, I think he's a star boy, and his scorecard is very, very high.
Out
Honestly,
of all the ministers.
Out of all the ministers, we must say, and perhaps he's even overseeing strong agencies. You know, NIN, Interior, Immigration, and they are all performing, you know, as expected. So I think it's a good one that will have someone like him who bring about technology and his level of understanding. And I'm happy that President make it a point of view to go there himself.
Yes.
You know, that's quite interesting.
To go
they
and
went there
himself
to commission it. And it's another benefit to us that we have a president who understands technology. You know, I think that's a plus to Tinubu.
Yes.
Because if you look at him, people he engaged, you know, the way they are operating, they are trying to embrace technology as expected. And that's part of why he allowed the effort of the AI and whatever. And it speak volume, because what you struggle to do, especially this our border, you can be in your corner of the office and see a lot of kilometers, you know, manning it through technology. That's a good one. And we are happy that Nigeria is moving. Then in terms of visa, you recall that this very minister, Tunji-Ojo, promised Nigerians that those visa application, those passport processes will make sure that it's shorten the, and he actually did it. In fact, at the point they're the one telling people that your passport is available. He also promised that beyond Nigeria, he will establish some centers across the globe, and he has actually achieved it. And so people in abroad, in fact, they are saying no, this one is a perfect minister for that position. And that's why sometimes you need to put a square peg in a square
hole and a round peg in a round hole.
Honestly, this actually make it a beautiful one.
Now the Nigerian Immigration Service has revealed that about 10 high-risk passengers were flagged and arrested in a week using surveillance tech.
That's a good one.
Now, this is a big plus to the Nigerian Immigration Service and a very big win for a star added to the president as well as the Minister of Interior himself. However, one major thing that maybe Nigerians might complain about or grumble about is the price of obtaining an international passport, which has almost doubled as it stands now.
Well, you recall that virtually everything in Nigeria has been doubled because so I think it's the economy that is showing in that aspect, because once the purchasing power, you know, is now like that, so definitely every other thing will high. Perhaps should I say I see passports doing too beyond the common man to an extent that, you know, so it's not too much if the services actually are available. And most of us, like the last issue I had that I think is not corrected up to now with NIN was that, you know, I want to travel and I was told that my age, my date of birth is not the same thing as what we have in the passport. So I tried to go and do affidavit and try to correct it. Up to now, it has not reflected. So that's part of the problem. So if you're not looking at what you are going to spend, if those things come with ease, the correction, the visa process, the passport process and everything come, you won't bother to pay. Nigeria just need good service. Once you give us good service, we wouldn't mind to pay for such thing. Is it not better that you apply for passport and you get it in a week compared to when you have to bribe somebody 2 months and then
wait for 3 months,
or somebody in Dubai who his passport has expired need to fly down to Nigeria to get another passport, whereby he can process that and they will courier it back. That's what he's doing now, which is very beautiful. So if your passport is ready, they will courier it to your address. Can you imagine? So you from here or anywhere, you wouldn't mind to even add extra, because you cannot compare it for you to process the visa again, travel down to Nigeria and fly back
to Nigeria.
So it's better, it's expensive, but the service is actually there.
Well, out of all the ministers, Dr. Tunji-Ojo appears to be, you know, the best performing minister when it comes to.
Where will you put
one of
the best
performing ministers. Well, Wiki, of course,
he's doing well too.
He always takes his flowers with the wonderful work he's doing here in the FCT, flagging off road constructions, flagging off projects,
and security has improved as well.
Security has improved. The FCT is looking cleaner and finer. I mean, this is the Abuja that everybody wants to see.
Yes.
Still talking about Nigeria and international travels and all. Recently, Nigeria's Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, made a statement about UK's Kemi Badenoch, citing that she could remove the Kemi from her name and just bear the Badenoch if she doesn't want to.
Yes.
And this is off the back of statements coming in from Kemi, which he described as denigrating Nigeria. He also highlighted Nigeria's global role, especially with the president's recent international visit and the recent visit of some,
Modi, Indian,
Modi, and now the German, president is here in the country. In this situation, why do you think Kemi continues to, in the vice president's words, denigrate Nigeria in that way?
I think we have to encourage Nigerians to go and read Femi Kayode analysis of Kemi Badenoch. In fact, I read before Kashim Shettima. I can tell you the steps at which Badenoch is taking, Kemi Badenoch, it's not good at all. In fact, I read some of our utterances. It's quite denigrating. Yeah. You don't say because you have found a new leaf, a greener pasture, you now reduce, Nigeria to those level. You can say some leaders are corrupt. You won't generalize everything. I think it's a big issue, and that's why Trump has also said now that he's going to revisit
the immigration policy
not immigration policy, citizen by birth. That now, if you are giving birth to somebody in America, it may not translate to that person become citizen, and that's what is obtainable in places like Dubai. If you stay in Dubai for 25 years, 30 years, you have children, everything, it does not make them, but sometimes it's negative, and I doubt if he can skate through, because even he himself actually, from history, may have come from somewhere. Perhaps people like Obama wouldn't have become president, these are the things. But for me, if Kemi Badenoch is taking it too far, that you find a better place or a greener pasture, or you are now conservative party, potential prime minister, or that, it does not say that you should. What has she actually contributed? What solution has she brought?
Nigerian origin.
What is this? What has she actually solution that she has brought to Nigeria? People like Okonjo-Iweala is far better than her in that area. Okonjo-Iweala have opportunity of also doing that, but she came, contribute, and then she left. It's not bad. So she should find a way of contributing to Nigeria, not bringing down how many persons, how many scholarship, how many, he should have bring a solution.
I mean, it's almost like the analogy somebody gave, that if in your father's house there is no food, you can complain to your mother or to your siblings,
right,
but it is not right to go out there and complain shouting to your neighbors and shout that we don't have food at home.
And my father is not taking care of me.
Exactly. Is this the same thing we are seeing, considering that Kemi is of Nigerian origin, benefited from the immigration policy in the UK, went there, met all the opportunities there, rose through the ranks, and is now almost set to become prime minister if she is eventually elected.
I 100% agree with our Vice President Kashim Shettima, because somebody need to answer her. You cannot continue in that level. So you cannot just, and if she's not cautioned, a lot of people will embrace that pattern, because that's what most Nigerians do. Once they get to that other side, they think
Nigeria becomes
a shithole, and they now say all different things. Even it happens to even some footballers. They started seeing Nigeria as, but by the time they now retire, they will now say, this is home. Because you can shine home than outside.
Yeah.
No matter how the level she gets, one day they will tell her history, and she cannot run away from her perhaps history. Nigeria is the country that you should be proud of anywhere in the world, because the largest black nation in the world. In fact, in terms of population, it's a benefit to an extent to us. So I think she should be cautioned in that direction.
In that regards. Well, another thing is that some people have while others are siding with the vice president, much like yourself, others are knocking hard on the presidency, especially the vice president, citing that what Kemi has been saying is actually just stating the fact and not denigrating Nigeria.
You need to see her piece where she's trying to say those things. She describes us beyond what we are. That's the issue. You know, there's a way you describe a nation. You know that okay, what she's actually saying is actually correct, but you have taken it beyond, beyond where you're supposed to. As if we are not in this globe, call in this world that we're in different. Perhaps we are still better than some countries. That's why I said people should go and read Fanika the response.
I will certainly read that.
Honestly, Fanika, when he's expressing himself, there's a way he expresses himself. When he writes, you like what he is written.
I'll most certainly take a look at it, Dr. Aliyu. Just about 6-7 minutes to wrap up. Let's quickly move on to another conversation here. Former Vice President Aliyu Atiku Abubakar and also the candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the last general elections has said that human rights lawyer Dele Farotimi, currently facing trial over an alleged defamation case with Are Afebabalola in Ekiti State, is languishing in jail for speaking truth to power. Now, the big question on the table this morning is, what truths did Dele Farotimi speak, and what power did he speak it to?
Right. I think be it truth, be it are not correct. My own issue is the process. Process is very, very key. He was arrested in Lagos and moved down to Ekiti. Why not try him in Lagos? That simply means that maybe perhaps the law of Lagos,
where defamation isn't really a criminal
case, they bring him down. So, and it was arrested by, according to the story, the IG order is a arrest. It's not bad if somebody defames someone and you want to try that, but let it be transparent. Let there be fair hearing. In his book, they said he mentioned Are Afebabalola. What? He's a lawyer too, and he has actually, it's like he had a case before Are. So maybe the way the case went, maybe that's why he's actually saying it's not defamation as a word. It looks negative. You don't defame people.
But does that warrant?
That is the question now.
Being put in cuffs, in handcuffs.
Handcuff. That's what I'm saying. So there's no transparency in that, and you know that if you follow Dele Farotimi in his past utterances, you recall that he has been saying a lot of things that this present government may not actually like. Perhaps it could be soothing to Atiku and Obi. That's why you see them supporting Dele Farotimi. And remember, in politics, your enemy is my enemy.
Yes.
So sometimes if your enemy
your enemy's friend is your
enemy. So that's the way they put it. So, and that's why they are happy that and the more this government make mistake, the more is the plus to opposition.
Yes.
Right. And that's why they are trying to say no, it must be I was even thinking they would grant him bail, but now I heard he has gone back to
the news all over the place was that he had been granted a 50 million
so before we know,
for
they said
adjournment of the case to 10th December. And now we are hearing that the case had been adjourned to 20th December without the option of a bail.
I think this is a trial on the judiciary itself, because beyond delivery being tried, it's a trial on judiciary itself. They should look at how to balance issues with transparency, and this call for Attorney General of the Federation to also look into it. If it's a criminal offense, does it warrant that he will not get bail? Why is the bail condition beyond what people can actually afford?
Now, one of the many persons that Dele Farotimi has been quite vocally supportive of is the Labour Party's Peter Obi. And we saw recently pictures of Peter Obi visiting Are Afebabalola in Ekiti State to, in quote, beg, for some sort of resolution between him and the human rights lawyer that is currently facing trial. That particular action has been met with a lot of hard knocks by many Nigerians. How would you react to it? Are you also knocking Peter Obi?
Right. I think Peter Obi should be cautioned in terms of reacting to issues. As a face of opposition figure, so we shouldn't see him doing some things. So for me, I think why not go by law? Why do you have to go to Are Afebabalola? And I wouldn't say beg, because I don't know the content. I don't know the content.
That was the notion.
I don't know the content of their discussion. I don't know the content of their discussion, but we shouldn't see him going to Are Afebabalola. He should have followed the law and make sure, because not only Dele Farotimi now, because if you beg for Dele Farotimi, what if it happens to the next person?
What if it happens to you?
The next person who is not
begs for you?
Let's even imagine. Let's imagine that he was able to beg for Dele Farotimi. So which is a supporter? So anybody that is not Obi supporter and is being castrated like this, you know, will you now say you will not put mouth because it's not close to you? So that's why you need to follow some law, and we shouldn't see you doing some things that is not lawful.
Now, the array has actually laid out some, you know, conditions for
Farotimi.
for Farotimi, you know, for out of court settlement. Now, these conditions are not private to them, but I had a glance of it in the news while taking the headline stories, which I would also go and look for these conditions much later. But do you think that maybe in some way this is an issue that could be settled out of court anytime soon?
I listened to the interview of the former Attorney General of Ekiti State, and he's saying that if Dele Farotimi find his way, he should just keep begging. That he should beg Are Afebaba Lola. So maybe perhaps that's where they are tilting towards. But if Dele Farotimi is actually sure of what he's saying, and you know, there's a WikiLeaks exposing Abubakar and Obasanjo. Exactly. So if those things are actually true, we wouldn't know. That means Farotimi should also say no. What I'm actually saying is correct. It's not because of now, but because of future, you know, errors. You know, we see the court as the hope of the common man. If it now becomes negotiable, it becomes a serious issue. So for me, I don't think we should look at bad begging or that conditionalities. We should look at the law proper and face it as it's supposed to be.
Well, it's about looking at the law properly and facing it as it should be, and not necessarily cutting through corners or begging. In the case of Labour Party's Peter Obi to Are Afebaba with regards to Dele Farotimi's defamation case that is currently going on in Ekiti State. Well, Dr. Aliyu, it's been a very brief but yet impactful conversation with you on the program. I must thank you for finding time to come here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that has been Dr. Aliyu Ilias, who is a political economist and also a social affairs commentator, lending his thoughts to pertinent issues of interest in Nigerian news this morning.